Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good afternoon and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to part 2 of today's show, season 6, episode number 923 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Ooh, Canada. Always 100% Canadian. There we go. Just bring it out here so you don't get the glare of the light. And of course, always beaverific. Trying a little something new today, breaking down the longer shows into smaller parts so that they will be easier to upload when it comes time to get our podcast versions up, because it seems that we are at the last and final phase, which is indeed giving the banking information so that we can get the advertising revenue, and we should be ready to go. So today's episodes might be the first ones that we send on over to somebody who has offered. We'll see if they will be able to help, but that has offered to help, and we'd like to thank Kit Elaine for arranging that for us. Hopefully it will work. Try you got to change with the times. You got to evolve. You got to see try different things and see what works, because especially with the throttling and all that kind of stuff, maybe some of how much of it was the throttling and how much of it was the fact that the shows are we're starting to hit 3 hours. People might look at that and think, you know what, that's a little too ambitious for me. So breaking it down, I like the suggestion. I'm not sure, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Kit Saucy who mentioned a certain show that does 2 2-hour blocks. So we're trying to not necessarily do two 2-hour blocks, but whenever we have a show that looks like it's going over, to do another one. However, in doing this, I learned, because I never actually timed myself, actually programming and seeding a show in all the places where it is takes about 32 minutes from beginning to end, because as soon as I ended the first show, my tail did not leave this chair. So I might have to try experimenting with setting up 2 shows at the beginning of the day. And if I don't need the second one, then just deleting it. But eventually I'll figure something out, and I'll figure the flow, and it will work. I'm a very resourceful beaver. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Kids and Cubs, how's your mental health today? Still doing well? Doing well. Again, a little heartbroken. Gabriela Dabrowski lost at the French Open in the women's doubles semifinal. I have a feeling that the result yesterday might have had something to do with it. I can't imagine that the day immediately after, you lose in a match where you had an opportunity to win a Grand Slam title and you were up a set. kind of probably makes the motivation for the next day a little more difficult. And the scoreline would seem to indicate it. They lost 6-0, 6-1. And yesterday, Dabrowski was pretty much the MVP on that court, pretty much making everything. So I would suspect possibly just a little bit of deflation happens after a big loss like that and kind of makes it hard uh, to go after it. Conversely, had she won yesterday, maybe she would have been on fire, right? So yeah, it's a little something interesting. On the other side, Vavasori from Italy, who had won the title, was playing in a men's doubles semifinal today, uh, but lost there. So maybe you run out of steam. But they were playing against the number one team in the world too, but and a much more respectable effort than the 6-0, 6-1. Let's just put it that way. The first set went to a tiebreak, and the second one was 6-4. So I'm looking at the men's side here. It looks like Mr. Kaboli is having a dream tournament because he just got a walkover uh, in the semifinal and going straight to the final. So he will be particularly rested when he faces Alexander Zverev in the final. All right. Also, on the feeling good part, kids and cubs, I am happy to that in my effort to raise money for our beneficiaries for the men's for our mental health walk, that I finally have broken through the 170-pound barrier, just barely. Um, Sometimes the scale says 169, sometimes the scale says between 169 and 170. But I have broken through and I have maintained it for 2 days, kits and cubs. Yes, I know. So I'm on the way. I'm on the way there. Hopefully, I can keep that under uh, that amount, under 170, and keep on going downwards. My ultimate goal by the end of the summer would be to get under 160 and maybe even hit 155. But right now, clocking in at 169. For those of you who are interested, the mental health walk, June the 20th. Don't know if I can make this image a little bigger. It's not really all that clear here. June 20th, 2026. It will be the mental health walk date, encouraging men and male identifying persons to contact other male or male identifying friends and to go out for a walk and to talk about your mental health. If you need to talk to someone, call a mate, call a bloke, call a bud, uh, call a bro, go out, go for a walk. If you're concerned about someone, call them up and invite them out for a walk and talk about it. Have a little check in, see how things are doing. And of course, if you do not have a male friend or a male identifying friend to go out with, well, then obviously contact anyone and go for the walk. But we need to make it such that men are no longer feel that it is not masculine or somehow weird that they would want to talk about feelings and share it. Kit Linda says, keep going. I want to give you my money. Yes, indeed. We are still accepting pledges. $1, $2 per pound, more if you would like to. Some of you have done that. I'm looking at you right now. Thank you. But yes, please, if you would like to just send us an email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com and let us know how much you would like to pledge per pound. Where I end up between now and June 20th will be the donation that goes towards our beneficiaries, the Men of the North program in La Ronge, Saskatchewan, which is Indigenous led, perfectly appropriate for National Indigenous History Month. And of course, the Lonely Man Project in St. John's, Newfoundland, who are looking to establish a resource center there for people who need help when the time comes. So, and I will be continuing trying to lose weight for the rest of the summer, and um, hopefully pledges can keep coming in that we can find another use to put them. I was thinking of trying to raise a little bit of money so that we can offer an honorarium to those who would be helping us to get our show back on podcast. But it could be for another reason as well. But hopefully, the financial support will continue there. But those who are supporting this particular initiative to raise awareness of mental health issues and to help a little bit a few organizations that are doing that, that are helping men and boys with mental health. Um, Absolutely welcome. Please, whatever you can contribute or pledge would be most welcome for that. All right. Um, I misheard. I did hear chicken. I said chicken. Call your friends and have a chicken. Call your friends and have some chicken. Hey, that works too. Go for a walk, build up an appetite, and then go out and have some chicken together and keep the conversation flowing, right? Ah, man. Let's see. Um, let's see. In a bit good mood because the well, actually, you know what? I'm going to save that for the Canadians who make us proud section because I already talked about tennis a little bit, which is still very proud. Gabriela Dabrowski and Felix Auger-Aliassime for having a wonderful run, and of course, as we learned on the show yesterday, I'll bring it up now since we're talking about it. We're talking tennis. That Victoria Mboko will be Serena Williams doubles partner at the Queen's tournament. Is it Queen's? No, not Queen. Yeah, Queen's Club. I was going to say Queen's Plate, but Queen's Plate is a horse racing tournament. I'm one of the. Is it the Canadian Triple Crown? I believe it is. But here, according to CBC Sports, Canadian tennis star Victoria Mboko confirmed that she will partner with legendary American player Serena Williams as she comes out of retirement at age 44. Mboko of Burlington, Ontario, posted a picture of the pair to social media on Thursday morning with a caption that read, quote, "The Queen is back. An honor to share the court with one of the greatest athletes of all time this week. Even more excited to play doubles together. Tennis is pretty special." And since we are talking that image, why not put it up there and for us to share and enjoy? And hopefully it will pop up on us. No, it don't. I still have to press that button. So there it is. So there's Serena and Victoria Mboko on the right, of course. So imagine getting that call. That must, and it's happened twice to Canadians because when Venus Williams came back, it was Leilani Fernandez who got the call. So I don't know what it is with Canadian tennis players, but the Williams sisters really seem to like them. Maybe they're quite aware about how Canada is being treated by the current administration, and this is their way of sending us a little love. A boy can dream. A boy can dream. On Monday, the WTA, that's the Women's Tennis Association Tour, announced that Williams accepted a wildcard invitation to play doubles at the upcoming Queen's Club Grass Court Tournament. The 23-time Grand Slam singles champion has not competed since bidding farewell at the 2022 US Open. At the time, Williams said she didn't want to use the word retiring and instead declared that she was, quote, evolving away from tennis. Quote, Queen's Club feels like the perfect place to begin this next chapter, Williams said in a statement. Grass has given me some of the most meaningful moments of my career, and I'm excited to be back competing on one of the sport's most iconic stages. Speaking at the French Open last week, Mboko said of Williams, quote, I really look up to her. I mean, the fact that she even knows me is very exciting. Could you imagine? Like I said, wow, I cannot imagine getting that call and not squeeing till the ends of the earth. Another thing that has me a little happy today is you know how much uh, I love me some Theo Moudakis. I love me some Theo Moudakis a whole lot, actually. And he put out an editorial cartoon yesterday which I don't know if he listens to the show, man. But um, he had something that looked like he was. He did listen to the show, and I will put it up for you here. Hopefully, it will show up big enough for us to be able to see and enjoy on the screen because yeah, it does. So there's a it's a cartoon with somebody with a free Alberta T-shirt on that says, "This is going to be great. Alberta separates, and we get to keep our Canada pension, our Medicare our Medicare passport, the Canadian dollar, trade deals, defense alliances." Beaver goes, actually, none of that is true." And then the free Alberta guy is like, "We're so sick of Canada always being such a downer." Which the Beaver, who I found out is named Beav McBeav, no, Sir Beav McBeaver. I did not know that character had a name. Just sort of looks at the camera, all sort of uh, huh, or I give up. um, I interacted a little bit with Theo, and I said, "Confession: I know it's not, but I like to pretend that the beaver that shows up in your cartoons is me." With a little giggle, and he goes, "You don't even look a bit like Beav McBeaver." And I'm like, "I'm very aware. He's way cuter." And that got a little heart from Theo. So my my humor maybe was a little appreciated there. Elaine says that this morning's by the Adder was hilarious. So I will definitely go check that one out. Hey, my friend Pete is here. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Lots of love. Get some good rest. Sweet dreams. Hi, bye. Aussie Pete, who designed a lot of our graphics, including the graphic for the mental health walk, by the way. So there you go. Kit Linda offering here, perhaps the Williams sisters also want to elevate fellow women of color in tennis. Also, yep, absolutely. Absolutely understandable and very logical point of view, take on it. That would have something to do with it, no doubt. Let's see if we can find uh, Deatter today. Oh, yes. Oh, well, this was from 20. No, that's one from 2020. Sorry, that's not it. Oh, this is the one. Yes, this one today. This is really good. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. It's not about us this time around. This is about something going on in the United States. Um, it's for those who are listening, the editorial cartoon shows basically a bust of President John F. Kennedy on a pedestal that says the Trump Kennedy Center, where um, work is being done to remove the word Trump from Trump Kennedy Center, and work is not sure. Oh, and another person is applying some compound W wart remover from the bust of Kennedy here, because clearly Donald Trump infected it, and for that is because there was a legal decision actually in the United States that said that his name had to come off the Kennedy Center by June 12th. The graffitiing of the building, because they even changed the sign on the building already. That it has to stop. That he was not allowed to do that at all. It says here in the new CB. Oh well, I definitely don't want to do CBS News, considering what's going on there. Let's do AP because we like service news wires. The Kennedy Center is beginning the process of removing references to President Donald Trump a week after a federal judge ruled that his name had been illegally added to the Performing Arts Center. Roma Deravi, the Kennedy Center Vice President of Public Relations, said in a statement to the Associated Press that, quote, "We are complying with the court's order." I'm having a whole bunch of pop-ups showing up. While evaluating all legal options to preserve this revitalization and recognize President Trump's leadership. Mhm. In a Thursday memo to staff from the Kennedy Center's Office of General Counsel, the institution's lawyer said email signatures, letterhead, and other documents must reflect the name as the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts or Kennedy Center. The changes the memo was 12th. In a May 29th decision, U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper also blocked the administration from closing the operations that had been to start in July. Hours after the ruling, Trump said he was backing away from the revamp and making arrangements to relinquish control to Congress of what, until the Republican president's second term, had been known as the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. It would appear that there were some rules that made it such that he was not allowed to do that. Let's see what else, if there's anything here that says specifically why it is that that was not allowed. Taking a look here, it says only Congress has the authority to rename the Kennedy Center. President Trump and his cronies must not be allowed to trample federal law and bypass Congress to feed his ego. The judge, Christopher Cooper, said that renaming it violated federal law that requires the building to honor President Kennedy and Kennedy alone. Quote, "The Kennedy Center's organic statute makes crystal clear that the center is to be named for President Kennedy and it cannot bear any other formal name or public memorial based on the board's unilateral say-so," Cooper wrote in his ruling. Congress gave the Kennedy Center its name and only Congress can change it. So you can't even take over the board and change the name. It has to be an act of Congress. And therefore, once again, he was denied. Speaking of people who were denied, kits and cubs, our very own Premier of Pork and Gravy, Doug Ford, apparently he, how would you put it? The whole thing about him not having that gravy plane he wanted. As you know, he ordered it for health, presented it to us as a fait accompli that he had gotten it. That, of course, didn't even put it in the budget. Got raked coals for it. The public really balked at it, so much so that in the story that we told you yesterday about him trying to reintroduce MPP pensions and having intended originally to set aside $35 million of our money for MPPs to help them buy back past years of service, when he realized that the gravy plane did not go over well. He probably realized that about $29 million for the gravy plane didn't go over well. He probably realized that an extra $35 million for pensions, gold or platinum plated pensions, probably wouldn't go over well either. Right? And decided to pull back on that, and obviously creating much consternation within the caucus because while there's a few people that are as rich as Doug Ford in the caucus, most of them are not, and they didn't have six figures to be able to buy back the time. And then we showed you the clip of MPP Tyler Watt bringing up the subject and calling it a toy plane, and Doug Ford getting all upset. Well, in the Trillium the other day, by Charlie Prickerton and Tina Yazdani, um, Premier Doug Ford again defended his use of the private charter flights on Thursday. Unprompted, I'm guessing. I'm like, why? This guy just can't let this one go. I think we found the spot on the body where it hurts. And he appears to be having a lot of trouble coping with the fact that the people of Ontario so assertively denied him. Premier Doug Ford again defended his use of private charter flights on Thursday, arguing that other North American leaders think it's just a joke that Ontario doesn't have a dedicated government jet. Ford was responding to a question at an unrelated news conference from Global News, which reported earlier in the day that taxpayers spent more than $140,000 on 5 of the premier's chartered trips last year. The story followed the Trillium's reporting that Ford began to fly almost exclusively privately beginning in 2025. An exhaustive review of about 200 flights logged in his daily calendar entries revealed Ford started shifting away from commercial flights in 2023, which he relied on almost entirely in his first handful of years as premier. Going to that global article for a moment that talked about that. This was from Colin DeMello and Isaac Callan, who appear to be working very well with Tina Yazdani and Charlie Pinkerton now that they are at the Trillium. But here it says that Premier Doug Ford has charged Ontario taxpayers more than $140,000 over the past year to charter private flights across Canada and the United States, according to publicly available records revealing a change in habits for the once infamously penny-pinching politician. Ooh, there's a nice alliteration. The penny-pinching politician of pork. Records show Ford's penchant for private travel took off immediately after winning the 2025 provincial election campaign, during which the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party chartered planes to Washington, D.C. to push back on U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. He ran as Captain Canada, got a third majority mandate, and there Doug Ford thought that basically he would be forgiven everything, because he's out there protecting Ontario. I'm protecting Ontario for the people. Nobody works harder than me. Since then, Ford and his staff have flown on 5 separate private flights in a single year to various destinations for government business, all of which were chartered by the Ministry of Natural Resources, which was eventually involved in the government's purchase of the ill-fated $28.9 million jet. Why would the Ministry of Natural Resources? What? Todd, if you wanted to buy a jet and you had to hide the line item somewhere in government documents, the last place I would go looking for evidence of a jet purchase is in the Ministry of Natural Resources. Sneaky, 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 sneaky he is, isn't he? The chartered flights cost anywhere between $1,800 and nearly $9,000 per person, depending on the distance, costing taxpayers a grand total of $143,498.16. Ford, who has spoken publicly of his fear of flying and concerns about confrontations on commercial flights. Gee, I wonder why you would be afraid of confrontations on commercial flights. Not like you've done anything to piss people off, right? Not like you had terrible things to say about students and teachers and nurses and the homeless and addicts, and not like there are people out there, some of them who take planes now and then, and if not some of them, like for example the homeless, people who might be related to them and who love them taking planes. I guess, I guess I imagine he would be concerned about confrontations. Oh my God. Jeez. Because this follows him in April 21st saying that it wasn't a mistake to buy, right? It wasn't a mistake. There was some flights up to the north that he found terrifying. At the time, Uh, and then at the time, he said that he received lots of calls. He's been inundated by calls from people telling him to keep the damn plane. On the list of things that never happened, that's probably one of the things that never happened the most. Remember at the time he says, I should have went out there, put the case forward to the people, and I didn't. I should have done it quicker. I'll take responsibility. After which he denied, he averted any type of responsibility, because had he taken responsibility, well, he would have showed us the receipts to let us know that the plane had been sold back, and he would have told us about the $200,000 and extra costs that it would took to take care of the purchase and potentially the sell back. And he would have offered to cover that either from his own funds, or at least the party would have offered to cover it. I should have done it quicker. No, you shouldn't have. You done it plenty quick. You tried to sneak it past us. Ford said it wasn't a mistake to buy the plane and is now looking to sell, suggesting the media had inaccurately framed it as his own private jet. And at the time he said, I'm not complaining, he insisted. And yet he can't let it go. But he's not complaining. The premier also recounted an incident on a commercial flight where he said someone got into the rocket fuel and started calling me names at 30,000 feet in the air. Oh, he a little sensitive. Critics immediately jumped on the comments saying Ford was throwing himself a pity party and didn't need his own plane. Merritt Stiles, I think the premier needs to put on his big boy pants. Are you kidding me? If he doesn't want to fly, fine, drive. Give me a break. That's not an excuse to get a luxury private jet and pay 30 millions of taxpayers' money. If he has a problem or an issue with flying, he can get some help for that. Yeah, hypnosis. Costs way less than $30 million, buddy. Ontario Liberal interim leader John Fraser suggested Ford was feeling sorry for himself. You're all so hard on me. I'm only human. I make mistakes, he said the premier was telling people. He's made a lot of mistakes, and I'm tired of this, and Ontarians are tired of this shtick. Mm. Mm. Green Party Mike Schreiner said Ford should repay the difference if Ontario makes a loss when the Challenger was sold. Maybe there was a loss when the Challenger was sold, and maybe that's why Doug Ford didn't want to send us the receipts. He basically said that he sold it back for the amount that he purchased. Trust him. Trust him. Trust that he did. Sure. Quote, maybe you didn't see me just hop on a commercial flight, Air Canada going to Sault Ste. Marie, Ford said. Maybe you were absent all of the times. There's no premier that's ever taken more commercial flights than myself. I'll continue flying commercial. I'll continue flying with OPP. And when needed, there will be chartered planes because I have to fly all over the US and all over the country. You don't have to fly, sir. There's certain trips that you take that you don't really need to do. Ontario NDP leader Merritt Stiles said the premier had become accustomed to a more comfortable style of flying, leaving taxpayers with the bill. Quote, this is the cost of Doug. He is spending hundreds and thousands of tax dollars to take luxury private jet flights for photo ops. While Ontarians are struggling to pay rent or put food on the table, Doug Ford is taking money out of their pockets to live the good life at 30,000 feet. So yeah, indeed, $140,000 in chartered flights. All right. Back to the article here. Let's see here. Ford has faced repeated questions about his air travel since earlier this year when his government brought a $28.9 million jet for the premier's use and then promptly returned it after public backlash. In his responses, Ford had defended the purchase and his use of private jets and charter flights as premier, saying he saved taxpayers millions of dollars by flying commercial over the years. The premier has also repeatedly said that his government's mistake was not communicating the purchase of the jet properly. On Thursday, Ford said, no, your mistake was actually thinking you were entitled to that jet. On Thursday, Ford said chartering a plane, quote, is the best investment for his travel as premier. Quote, one example was Texas. Folks, I went down to Texas. We hit 3 cities, had 13 appointments with Fortune 500 companies, said Ford, who credited the recent trip for a minimum of $6 billion of investment. I couldn't hit 3 cities in Texas and 13 appointments if I didn't charter, added Ford, and I'm going to continue to charter when needed. Ford specifically defended chartering flights to Ottawa, a trip he often makes, while there are about 20 airline flights between Toronto and Ottawa on any given day. Ford argued that flying commercially between them can consume an entire workday. Everyone knows it's 45 minutes there, maybe an hour back, Ford said on Thursday about flying round trip from Toronto to Ottawa. By the time you leave, you wait in line, spend about 7 hours your whole day. If you think that's productive as a leader of the 19th largest economy in the entire world, if you think that's sufficient, well, we're going to disagree. You can work while you are in the waiting area for the flight. You can work while you are on the flight and in the air. You can work while you are in the cab or in any chauffeur driven car that you are in taking from the airport and back, Doug. You can be rather productive, even. It doesn't take away half a work day, and you can be productive in that time. Well, not half a sorry, an entire work day. It doesn't take an entire work day. Number one, that's an exaggeration. It's about a 45-minute flight, right? At the most, when you put it all together, it's 4 to 5 hours, and you can get a lot of work done in that time. Business people do it all the time, Doug, all the time. We've got to stop treating Ontario like a banana republic because that's what it's being treated like. Yes, we're a banana republic because the premier can't get a plane. Wow. On March 2025 round-trip charter to the capital, which Ford and 5 staff took to meet with the Prime Minister and other premiers, cost about $17,725, according to the Premier and his staffers' public expense disclosures. Ford also said on Thursday that he has, quote, no plans to purchase another private jet. Yeah, he also had no plans to touch the green belt, so keep your eyes on this guy. We haven't forgotten yet, Father Mucker. We see you. Ford also said on Thursday that he has no plans to purchase another private jet for the Premier's use, but that he intends to continue flying private on planes the government has access to, including those that are owned by the Ontario Provincial Police, who now have 3, based on the other things that we read the other day. The Trillium previously reported that Ford's use of private planes increased significantly after the OPP added a second Pilatus PC-12 to its fleet in 2023. Ford added in the same response, quote, Ontario is larger than France and Spain, and you want to be frank, when I tell my colleagues south of the border and even other colleagues in Canada, they think it's a joke. And this is how you know Doug Ford is really flailing about and is really not getting it. The article goes on to say Ford did not say which specific Canadian or American leaders made those comments. Of course, because nobody did that. He's just claiming this. And here's the thing that gets me here is that in this current environment, and Doug Ford knows this because Doug Ford put on the Captain Canada hat and keeps on saying how much Trump annoys him and that he needs to stand up to Trump and makes all those comments about the booze is not going back on the shelves unless Trump, and blah, blah, blah. Actually, telling us as Ontarians that leaders in the United States think that it's a joke, that Premier can't have a little point of his own. Like we are going to be moved by what American leaders think about what we think about him helping himself to a plane. He actually said that thinking that that somehow would convince us. This man is completely out of touch. This has been going on since April 11th. He cannot let it go. This one really seemed to have hurt him right in his fifis. Wow. Amazing. He cannot cope with being told no by the people. That's another thing he shares with Danielle Smith and Donald Trump. He cannot accept being told no. He was denied his goodie and he cannot get over it. And he is just stumbling from bad decision to bad decision. Doug Ford, if you or if anybody in your staff happen to listen to the show, yeah, nobody gives a flying, huh? See what I did there? F about what Americans think about you not having a private jet as premier. Nobody. And that you thought that that would move us is just another reason for which we need to get you out of that job as fast as possible. And another reason that explains why it is that you need to be gone for 21 straight weeks. But he's gone for those 21 straight weeks and he still can't drop it. He is giving, had he put it in the budget and people would have got upset, he could have said, okay, I'm not doing that. There would have been no plane to return. We say maybe not an extra $200,000. Had he asked, he might have been able to avoid this. But when he got caught with his hand in the provincial cookie jar and the lid smacked down on him so hard that he went, "Oh, Daddy, I take responsibility. My bad. Whoops. Here are the receipts. Sold it back. See, here's that $200,000. Oh boy, well, yeah, that's a little embarrassing. Well, yeah, I guess it's fair to say that you guys shouldn't be on the hook for this, given that I didn't really ask to do this and I kind of slipped this by you. So I will eat that cost. Actually, if he had probably personally offered to eat that cost, he probably could have turned this loser into a winner for him. But um, he's the premier of pork and gravy. And I think Merritt Stiles hit it on the head. Um, I saved you enough money already. Now let me just do as I please. Oh my God. Jeez. What a guy. What a guy. So yeah, that happened. Getting back a little bit to the AI story that we were talking about on the first episode. Of course, Kids and Cubs, the announcement of strategy was made because last time we had talked about the draft itself and some of the things that were in it. But the announcement was actually made. The Prime Minister made the announcement at a medical center, I think, at a hospital, where examples of how AI could be used for that purpose. So good applications of it, public focused applications that are for the betterment of humanity. So, I mean, a good way to introduce it. And he said that according to the official strategy, Canada aims to do the following among other goals: protect Canadians and children against the risks from AI and online harms, provide Canadians access to free AI literacy training, including reaching 1 million entry level post secondary students, create up to 90,000 AI related job opportunities for young Canadians, support creating up to 250,000 new jobs through AI adoption by 2031, boost Canada's business adoption of AI from 12% today to 60% by 2034, build a world-leading supercomputer as part of significantly enhanced sovereign infrastructure by 2031, and build a multilateral alliance giving Canada sovereignty, autonomy, and key AI capabilities. The strategy promises at least $2 billion in new investments to achieve its aims. It was met with joy by some Canadian AI leaders, including Valérie Pisano, CEI of Montreal AI Institute MILA. She said the strategy is, quote, ambitious and puts a stake in the ground that Canada is building AI for all Canadians. Quote, to us, it is a balanced, robust, complete strategy, and certainly it gives us momentum to keep going on the things that we care about, Pisano said. Opposition parties pounced on the employment angle. Conservative Deputy Leader Melissa Landsman panned the strategy and said her party doubts the Liberals can create jobs for young people when youth unemployment is already high. Again, that's a dumb statement. Uh, the fact that youth unemployment is already high doesn't mean that nobody can create jobs. NDP MP Don Davies told reporters that he doesn't believe mass adoption of AI will create jobs. "Quote, I think it'll cost jobs, and until there's measures that are in place that will address that, I don't think the strategy is complete. AI will create jobs. There's no doubt about that. It's just will it create uh, will it be one for one the number of jobs it replaces versus the number of jobs it creates? And even though the AI jobs will be high paying, do they pay enough to compensate for the amount of money that gets pulled out of the economy for the jobs that it takes away?" In a technical briefing for reporters before the announcement, senior government officials were asked whether Ottawa has an estimate on how many jobs could be lost to AI. They did not provide one. During an interview with CBC's The House airing Saturday morning, AI Minister Evan Solomon pointed to the Bank of Canada, whose Deputy Governor, Michelle Alexopoulos, recently told Ottawa business audience there's no evidence yet of widespread job losses. "Quote, that doesn't mean this won't happen," Solomon told host Kathleen Cullen, so our plan obviously is a pro-worker plan. The strategy aims to get people learning about AI through a national literacy initiative, which will offer entry level training meant to be accessible to all Canadians. Ottawa also plans to train more than 3,000 educators with AI learning kits. There are also initiatives to help young people find employment as AI disrupts the job market through programs like the Student Work Placement Program in Canada Summer Jobs. Ottawa will additionally, quote, assess training and upskill offerings for mid-career workers, including in skilled trades, to scale up employer-led training nationwide with a strong priority on AI-related skills. Those measures aren't enough for some labor groups, but others welcomed the strategy and expressed a desire to work with the federal government. In a statement said, to CBC News, the Canadian Union of Public Employees, or CUPE, argued the federal government is, quote, putting the profits of big tech billionaires ahead of workers and the public by soft pedaling protections against the risks of AI. A statement from Beaver, a president of the Canadian Labour Congress, said, quote, Canada's unions are united in calling for stronger AI laws, independent oversight, protections against surveillance and discrimination, and a greater role for unions in shaping how AI is used. And in some of the comments, the Prime Minister and Evan Solomon also mentioned about uh, protections against predatory pricing or surveillance pricing, which will probably make, at least on the surface of it, NDP leader Avi Lewis somewhat happy. Clearly, he has broken through. With that, it's the first signature policy proposal from the NDP since he became leader, and it seems that the federal government is deciding that it wants to address it. So already he is having an impact on the discussion than Pierre Poilievre is anyway, and the Conservatives. Let's see what else. Carney acknowledges that Canada has to, quote, be honest about the risks AI poses to Canadians, including deepfakes, AI-generated disinformation, and privacy concerns. He also noted Canada ranks near the bottom of countries in AI training, literacy, and trust. The strategy highlights key actions Canada will take to address the issue, including modernizing consumer privacy legislation, introducing online safety laws, working on watermarking AI-generated content, as well as a broader commitment to protecting elections and reviewing the Privacy Act. However, like the draft version of the strategy, there are no details on specific actions. The strategy does highlight that Canada will invest $50 million to expand the capabilities of the Canadian AI Safety Institute to track risks, advance technical research, and transparently evaluate AI models. Plus, Canada will, quote, create a trusted AI certification program to help Canadians identify trustworthy AI products in the marketplace. Key points in the strategy to boost AI use by small and medium-sized businesses included utilizing the Business Development Bank of Canada's LIFT program to help those businesses access financing to bring the technology into their operations. Plus, Ottawa will invest $500 million to expand and enhance its regional artificial intelligence initiative, meant to help AI startups and growing firms scale up and address common challenges with AI adoption across critical sectors. It is also going to add $700 million to the AI Compute Access Fund, bringing its total budget to $1 billion. The fund covers two-thirds of eligible costs for Canadian cloud-based AI compute service, or half of eligible costs for non-Canadian equivalents. Canada will also launch a new AI missions program for projects that, quote, deliver significant public good and demonstrate meaningful improvements in Canadians' lives. The first mission will commit $200 million to improve Canadians' health outcomes. As far As for scaling up top Canadian companies, the federal government is establishing a $500 million Canadian Tech Growth Fund, which would provide flexible capital and investment support and allow Ottawa to take equity stakes in the most promising Canadian AI firms. Quote, this will help them attract private capital, compete globally, retain talent and intellectual property, and remain anchored in Canada, the strategy said. And Canada will leverage its recently announced sovereign wealth fund, quote, where appropriate, to further support Canadian champions. Pardon me, had to yawn there. Further support Canadian champions, the strategy added. The details of how the fund will work have not been released. Carney highlighted Canada's need for sovereign AI ecosystem, but brushed off questions over whether doing so could irritate already intense trade relations with the United States. Quote, this is a strategy any sentient country is taking, Carney told reporters. This is fundamentally strategic. Senior government officials said Canada doesn't see itself moving completely away from a relationship with the United States on AI, but is trying to allow itself to scale in areas where it has a competitive advantage. Ottawa plans to build a world-leading public supercomputer, according to the strategy, meant to give Canadian researchers and business access to computing power for cutting-edge public and industry-driven innovation. Plus, Canada will work with private capital to build data centers that can scale to at least 100 megawatts. On data, which the strategy said must be treated as a strategic national asset, Canada plans to invest $100 million to launch the health sector data space to link secure private and standardized data sets to strengthen clinical trials. The federal government is also looking to expand Vital, a collaborative health data platform, to 5 additional provinces. Ottawa plans to spend $100 million on that file. Under the sovereignty pillar is also Canada's plan to attract and retain talent. The document said the federal government will strengthen Canada's network of national AI institutes and increase the number of cases CIFAR AI chairs from 130 to nearly 200 researchers. Ottawa also plans to expand its global talent stream permit program to accelerate the entry of highly skilled AI workers and align measures for permanent residency to retain the talent Canada recruits. So that gives a little bit of a sense there of what's going to be in the strategy. We're going to be hearing more over the next days and weeks about good or bad, what's missing, how it can still be made better. Obviously, we're going to be waiting for some details yet on some of the elements, as mentioned in this story, such as how how it's linked to the sovereign wealth fund would work, for example. But yeah, interesting decisions here. I'm going to see if there's any extra news with regard to this issue coming from the Prime Minister's website. It says that the global AI market is projected to reach US $4.8 trillion in 2033, and that Canada has a limited but real opportunity to ensure AI works for all Canadians and to harness this technology to create jobs, protect Canadians, and strengthen our prosperity. The strategy targets an additional $200 billion of economic growth to create 250,000 new AI-related jobs over the next 5 years and to increase AI adoption from just over 12% to 60% by 2034. The strategy will provide up to 90,000 AI-related jobs and work placement opportunities for young Canadians and make our industries more competitive in the global economy. It says here that so that Canadians have trust that AI is being developed and deployed safely, transparently, and in ways that reflect our values. The strategy is anchored in 3 guiding principles: building trust, creating opportunities, and reinforcing Canadian sovereignty. And in there, it says, to build trust, we will protect Canadians from the risks and harms of AI by modernizing legislative frameworks for the digital age that prioritize trust and safety and reduce the risks of AI. This includes strengthening protections for Canadians' personal information, including against harmful practices such as deepfakes and surveillance pricing, and introducing an online safety regime to better protect social media and chatbot users, and improving AI transparency so Canadians are better equipped to use AI safely and responsibly, while expanding the capabilities of the Canadian AI Safety Institute Institute to conduct transparent evaluations of AI models. It will also strengthen multinational partnerships with trusted allies in areas such as research, talent, compute, and procurement through the newly formed Sovereign Technology Alliance, which will attract foreign investment, showcase Canadian talent abroad, and open new markets for Canadian firms, and by leveraging 12 international partnerships already signed to expand Canada's AI industry, attracting high paying careers and advancing innovation. To create opportunity, the government will establish a national AI literacy initiative that will offer entry level AI training for all Canadians. As part of this effort, AI literacy will reach 1 million entry level post secondary students and train more than 3,000 educators with AI learning kits in their classrooms. Free accessible AI learning will include practical courses and sector relevant modules. It will also provide access to trusted AI agents for every post secondary student, from the arts and commerce to science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, or STEM, and medicine. Provide up to 90,000 AI related jobs and work placement opportunities for young Canadians, helping them gain experience and thrive in the AI economy. Help small and medium sized businesses adopt AI to support workers, raise productivity, and drive breakthroughs in priority sectors such as health, energy, transportation, agriculture, manufacturing, robotics, and government services. Launched the first AI missions program with a flagship health mission to accelerate the adoption of AI in diagnostics, patient care, and system efficiency, delivering faster, better care for Canadians while strengthening Canada's life sciences and health innovation ecosystem. And provide training and upskilling opportunities for workers from mid career professionals to frontline workers so they can adapt to AI enabled workplaces and access new opportunities. This includes employer led training on AI enhancing skills. And to reinforce sovereignty, they will build the foundations of sovereign Canadian AI, compute, cloud, connectivity, data, and talent so that Canadian researchers, businesses, and public institutions can build and adopt AI on Canadian terms. They will build a world leading public AI supercomputer and invest in sovereign compute and cloud infrastructure with a focus on high performance computing that is sustainable and aligned with Canada's clean energy expansion, robust environmental standards, and tangible benefits for local communities. They will also support globally competitive Canadian champions by improving access to growth capital, using government procurement as a strategic anchor customer, and helping Canadian AI companies access compute, commercialization resources, and intellectual property protections. And finally, by expanding Canada's AI talent base through investments in the Canadian Institutes for Advanced Research, or CIFAR, AI chairs program, and accelerated entry pathways for highly skilled workers through the Global Talent Stream, sorry, not screen. So there you go, kids. That's what we have on this here. See if there's any quick facts that I can add to this. It says since March 2025, Canada's new government has signed agreements and joint statements with Australia, the European Union, Finland, Germany, India, Norway, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Sweden, the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom. And these are partnerships that provide the foundation for the safe and responsible development and deployment of AI technologies that strengthen access to compute capacity and foster AI and technology adoption while deepening connections across government, industry, and other stakeholders. All right. And that's what we have for the AI bit. On the time, doing well. All right. Moving to other bits of news that I wanted to talk about today. Yesterday, we were talking about the BC Conservatives having chosen a new leader, Carrie Lynn Findlay, and me mentioning that this is going to be a total poop show. Well, that did not take long. I will tell you. The first hint I got that something was a little up was a tweet from someone named Jennifer Whiteside. Now, I need to check because I didn't at the time, and it just dawned on me that maybe I should. Um, See whether or not Jennifer Whiteside is from the realm of politics, because you want to have a sense of motives first of all when you are making um, these comments, and I believe that I have already made a mistake. Let me just go check and make sure I'm okay here. No, yes, it is Jennifer Whiteside because I saw something say Jonathan Whiteside, and I thought, "Oh my god, did I pick the wrong person?" uh, but Jennifer Whiteside. I am having trouble bringing this up. Let's try one more time just to be sure that I've got this. JM Whiteside. Yeah, okay, that's what I put in. All right, let's try this one more time. There we go. I must have had a typo somewhere that I didn't notice. BC's Minister of Labour and MLA for New Westminster Coquitlam. So she put out a tweet that said, Carrie Lynn Finley deleted this video of Jordan Kealy endorsing her. Everyone knows they campaigned together. Why is she trying to hide it? We need her to speak up. She's failing her first real test. So I saw that to myself. Well, what's wrong with this video? And so I listened to the video, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just a video that's, talking together. I endorse Carrie because she's this, and says yes. He paints all these compliments of her, and then she goes, "I agree with you." And that's why he wasn't talking about a policy. He was talking about how great he thinks she is. Oh, I agree with you. I'm great. Ah, she didn't say I agree with you. I'm great. I agree with you, but um, and I was wondering, well, what is this all about? So I went on the old Googler and I typed in Jordan Kealy, who's an MLA, of course. He's a member of the Legislative Assembly, British Columbia, representing the electoral district of Peace River North. He was also one of the six MLA were elected under the BC Conservative banner under John Rustad, who had been ejected from the party. And I'm going to go take a little look at what it is. Not ejected, but he left. It said he left the BC Conservative Caucus in March 2025 in solidarity with Dallas Brody, who had been ejected by leader John Rustad for controversial comments about residential schools. So, again, that this bit of news is coming during National Indigenous History Month is a little poetic. I still haven't told you what the news is, but a little poetic considering that he doesn't particularly seem to like Indigenous people. Kealy had subsequently called for Rustad to step down, and he chose to sit as an independent. Rustad removed Bodie from the caucus in March 2025, stating she had used her position to mock the testimony of residential school survivors. Okay. And that Tara Armstrong to quit the party as well. At the time, Rustad said this is about an elected MLA using a position of authority to mock testimony of survivors of abuse, including child sex abuse. Following Brody's ouster, BC Conservative MLAs Jordan Kealy of Peace River South and Tara Armstrong of Kelowna Lake County Coldstream announced on Facebook that they were leaving the party. Kealy said in a statement on Facebook, "This is just the start of a new path and a new party that respects conservative values." 3 exclamation points. Attorney General Nikki Sharma said in a statement, what Dallas Brody was putting residential school survivors through was abhorrent. And please note the concept here that Jordan Kealy was completely insensitive to survivors of abuse, including child sex abuse. Because the sex abuse part is going to be relevant to what comes next. That he was unfeeling about that. just his sense of empathy couldn't be um, evoked. And it might not be simply because we're talking about red-skinned children that he can't relate to because they don't look like him. Quote, "It is deeply unfortunate that John Rustad failed to act for 2 weeks after her initial comment, and again yesterday, even after she mocked residential school survivors and attacked members of his own caucus. And he tolerated Brodie's behavior for far too long. It's a relief to see John Rustad finally act. Standing up to Brodie and the BC Conservative MLAs who supported her was the right thing to do. We disagree with John Rustad on many things, but it's encouraging that we do agree that Dallas Brodie's hurtful comments should have no place in our respective political parties." Okay. Um, so yeah. And well, um yesterday, 12:05 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Andrew Koryata published an article in for CBC that reads the headline, and man, trigger warning for matters of sexual abuse. Essay. BC MLA Jordan Kealy charged with sexual assault in Fort St. John. So there were two reasons he was unmoved by child sex abuse. One, because it happened to Indigenous children, and two, he doesn't seem, at least according to the charges, to have a problem with sexual abuse. Fancy that. Hmm. Whenever I see people object to wanting to hear stories of victims or whatnot, have this disproportionate, irrational reaction to cases involving sexual abuse, my first question is, what's in your search history? The article goes, the BC Prosecution Service says independent MLA Jordan Kealy, who represents Peace River North, has been charged with one count of sexual assault. The service says the alleged offenses occurred between January 1st and September 20th, 2024. Court documents indicate the alleged offenses took place in Cecile Lake, a rural area where Kealy farms north of Fort St. John. The prosecution service says a Vancouver-based special prosecutor was assigned to the case on February 9th, 2026 to, quote, avoid any potential for real or perceived improper influence in the administration of justice, considering the nature of the allegation and the identity of the accused as an elected public official. I do not know whether the announcement of the special Vancouver-based special prosecutor, whether that assignment was made public. I'm going to take a little look to see if that was the case. Because if it was, it could change certain things. I'm not seeing anything specifically at the moment. A quick look that says that that is the case, but timelines matter. So, like I said, whether or not senior Vancouver lawyer Gail Barnes, who was appointed on February 9th, 2026, to prevent any perceived or actual conflict of interest during the Prince George RCMP investigation, I don't know if the investigation was made public. So let's look at here. I'll try investigation into the search engine and see if anything was announced, and again, nothing is popping up to indicate it. That doesn't mean that it's not, it just means that I can't quick look. All right, let's keep going. In a statement emailed to CBC News, Kealy said he will not be stepping down. Quote, I am innocent and the accusation against me. I'm innocent of the accusation against me and will prove that in court. In the meantime, it will be business as usual, advocating for my constituents and region. No, actually. Um, I'm old enough to remember a time where when stuff like this would happen, um, that some people um, would step down or step aside, like Randy Boissonneau did recently, or like Judy Scrow did at one point when there was a scandal, waited for their name to be cleared, and then came back. Doesn't mean he necessarily has to give up his seat, but yeah, um, it should not be business as usual. Keely's first court appearance is scheduled for July 6th in Fort St. John. A first-time MLA elected under John Rustad, he left the BC Conservatives on March 7th alongside Tara Armstrong after Dallas Brody was removed from caucus. He said the party had become toxic. I'm guessing he was looking to earn his way back into the party. Unlike Armstrong and Brody, he did not join any other parties and instead continued and continues to sit as an independent, though he has suggested that could soon change under its new leader, Carrie Lynn Finlay, who now has a decision to make, doesn't she? She removed video of him giving her his endorsement from her socials, but doesn't look like she said anything when she did. It just seems that she quietly removed it. So she knows enough to be embarrassed. But the 71-year-old lawyer, that is Carrie Lynn Finlay, decided that she wasn't going to say anything at this point. Now, again, innocent until proven guilty, but in light of the charges, I think that. Now, of course, it helps that he is not part of the party because he is still sitting as an independent and was looking to rejoin the party, maybe. But yeah, um, doesn't seem, at least at the time that she removed uh, the endorsement, that she had anything to say. She could have said something. I understand that I received the endorsement. Um, Given what's going on, um, I would like to, for the moment, take some distance from that or anything. But so far, it didn't. It seemed that she just quietly removed it. Wow. I'm trying to see what her specialty legal was here. I'm just seeing that she served as in-house counsel for the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, so maybe more of a corporate lawyer than a criminal one of the subtype. Okay, let's look back at the article here. He hosted a town hall for her in his constituency during the Conservative leadership campaign and posted a photo of himself with her when she was elected on May 30th, saying he had attended the party convention after his flight home to Fort St. John was cancelled due to weather delays. And again, since we're showing some pictures here, let's show them. There we go. That was on May 30th, just a few days ago. He also appeared on stage with her at the convention, telling reporters he was confident he would be invited back into the party. Quote, "What a day," he wrote in the post. "This might just be the end of me being an independent and coming back to the party. More to come." All of this is leading me to indicate that maybe the assignment of that investigator was not made public. Because if it was, one would have to wonder why uh, anybody would have wanted to be seen with him in photos until the investigation was over and we knew whether or not there would be charges or not. So I'm going to assume that this information was not public because I do not want to assume the worst everyone of everyone first on a matter such as this. Because it is not necessarily the case that just because a leader is conservative, particularly in this day and age, that someone is okay with SA, even though, um, well, at least we're seeing from the United States that apparently there's plenty of people that are quite fine with it and are ready to explain it away and offer much apologia. In a video posted from Finley's victory party to social media, the party gives a shout out to quote to our independent conservative gesturing towards Kealy. Oh, that video is going to resurface when she tries to run for a seat. I can guarantee it. And also in the election. I can guarantee it. How long am I going to be independent? I'm kind of curious about that. Kealy can be heard asking from off camera, with Finley responded she will, quote, work on that. Painfully obvious follow up question. Uh, Leader Finley, now that this news is becoming public, are you still working on bringing Kealy back into your party? And then watch her go. Hi. But in a statement issued Thursday, the BC Conservative Party said Kealy would not be rejoining their party. Oh, okay. These charges are incredibly serious. Jordan Kealy is an independent MLA and is not joining our caucus or party. Executive Director Angelo Isiduro said in a statement. Oh yes, but can we get a statement from the leader? However, that's not written. In a statement to BC NDP MLA Jennifer Whiteside called for Kealy to step down and for Finley to encourage him to do so. Quote, it is inappropriate for someone facing serious criminal charges to continue serving as an MLA. His constituents deserve an MLA that they can have confidence in and who is focused solely on the job of representing them, she wrote. British Columbians would expect Carrie Lynn Finley to tell Jordan Kealy to step down immediately. She enthusiastically accepted his support throughout the leadership race, including standing on stage with him just days ago. She has been clear about her plans to bring him back into caucus. She should use that relationship and advise him to resign. Ooh, that's well played. MLA Whiteside, well played. Anti-violence advocate Angela Marie McDougall says MLAs facing violent charges cannot properly represent their constituents. Quote, anybody in public office who has this kind of criminal charges, they should take a leave of absence, if not resign, she said. It's a low bar. Former BC Conservative leader John Rustad, who campaigned alongside Kealy, disagreed. Maybe that's why we're, oh my God. Wow. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, he said. It's important that our legal system is able to carry out its process. Yes, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but there is enough evidence to warrant criminal charges as well. Right? That's the thing that people that want to that put on the team jersey and stand by their man no matter what, even when there are SA charges, they run to everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and then forget, yeah, but he's charged, and there's a certain level of evidence that is required for there to be charges that are laid. Now, there might not ultimately be enough evidence at the end of the day to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, but there is enough evidence for charges. So, yes, at least taking a leave of absence, if not resigning, particularly for a violent crime such as this, is probably the go to. You can still believe in innocent until proven guilty, and dude, you really need to step aside until you are proven innocent, or at least proven not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. He said that he didn't think politicians should resign over charges that may not be founded. But do you believe he clearly also doesn't believe that they should maybe step aside until founded charges are deemed to have been uh, proven in court or not? Quote, ultimately, I guess it will be up to the people in the riding. Rustad said he had no indication that Kealy could be facing criminal charges when he brought him into the Conservative fold. Quote, nothing came up during the vetting process, which might lead company to believe, how good is your vetting process? And then again, um, those are not the types of things you go around advertising. Kealy is the second MLA elected under the BC Conservative banner in 2024 who has since been charged with assault. In March of this year, Richmond Centre MLA Han Chan was kicked out of caucus after being charged with assault and choking. Wow. Only the best people join conservative parties these days. Holy crap. Let's take a look at that. This is from Katie DeRosa, CBC News. Han Chan, BC MLA for Richmond Centre, has been charged with assault by choking and uttering threats. Chan was charged, let's see when this was, in March, around March 26th, and has been released from custody. He is set to make his first court appearance on April 22nd in Richmond Provincial Court, according to the BC Prosecution Service. The case has been designated a K file, which indicates it's an alleged case of intimate partner violence or domestic violence. Oh my God, these people. The victim's identity is unknown. The BC Prosecution Service says a special prosecutor, Andy McKay, was appointed on June 27, 2025, in relation to an investigation conducted by the Richmond RCMP. The alleged offenses occurred on January 12, 2024, in Richmond. Chan has been removed from the BC Conservative Party caucus, party leader Trevor Halford said. During a news conference at the legislature Thursday, Halford said Chan called him the day before to inform him of the charges. It would be really interesting to hear if Leader Finlay got a call from Mr. Kealy informing her the day before of the charges, and maybe that's what led to the endorsement being removed from the web, because again, timelines matter. Did she eliminate that endorsement prior to the news going public or after? Because if it's prior, then the question, how did you know, becomes very relevant, doesn't it? These charges are incredibly serious, they're very troubling, they're very disturbing, Halford said. He said the party took action to remove Chan immediately upon becoming aware of the charges, and that he's, quote, very confident nobody involved in the party or caucus knew about the investigation before Wednesday. Quote, our caucus wishes to be clear any allegations of domestic violence are taken seriously, Halford said, adding that, quote, people in positions of public trust will be held to the highest standard of accountability. Again, waiting for Carrie Lynn Finlay to say something similar. CBC News has not been able to reach Chan directly for comment. Gee, I wonder why. Someone from his constituency office sent a statement saying MLA Chan was made aware of a claim relating to an allegation from approximately 2.5 years ago. He disagrees with the allegation and looks forward to defending himself through the legal process. He will continue to cooperate fully with the police and the court process. How do you disagree with an allegation? You can deny an allegation, but how do you disagree with it? They said because the matter is before the courts, no further comment will be made. The statement was signed MLA Han Chan office. The BC Prosecution Service said it decided to appoint a special prosecutor for the case to avoid any real or perceived conflict of interest, given that Chan is an elected public official. Chan became a BC Conservative candidate in August 2024. He was elected as an MLA in October of that year, with over half the votes beating NDP incumbent Henry Yao. You guys should have voted NDP. Just saying. Chan was the party's critic for climate solutions and climate readiness. He's a former journalist with Fairchild Television. Grace Lower, NDP MLA for Victoria Beacon Hill, said in a statement that removing Chan from caucus doesn't go far enough. She said the Conservatives should call on Chan to resign immediately, saying his failure to disclose the criminal investigation is a fundamental violation of trust with his constituents and all British Columbians. That is absolutely true. It is inappropriate for someone facing criminal charges for violent crimes to continue serving as an MLA, she said. Asked if he thinks Chan should resign, Halford said he's going to have to make that decision himself. I would really like for this type of thing to not have to be a decision that someone makes themselves. Can we have a standard procedure that when charges like this are made, what we do? If you have been charged with a violent crime, whether you claim you are innocent or not, and regardless of innocent until proven guilty, you take a leave of absence. At the minimum, if not, have to resign your seat. Because when you take a leave of absence, your constituents are unrepresented. And they deserve full time representation if we are putting the interests of the constituents first. Wow, that is mind blowing. Um, okay. There's going to be an interesting article here with some information that I'm going to bring you following this. Um, he is also the second MLA for Peace River North to be charged with assault in the past decade. This is Mr. Kealy we're talking about here. Pat Pym, who represented the region for the BC Liberals from 2009 until 2016, was charged in 2016 and the charges were stayed in 2017. The terms of the stay included having no direct or indirect contact with the complainant. Pym stepped down from the party caucus ahead of the allegations being made public and did not run for re-election. Hmm. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. That is something. Um wow. All right. Let's see if there's anything else with regard to this at the moment. Um, let's see here. It says with regard to him not being brought back into the party, according to Ruth Prarthana and Stephen Albert of energeticcity.ca. Peace River North MLA Jordan Kealy's return to the Conservative Party of BC has been, quote, suspended indefinitely amid sexual assault charges. According to a press release by the Conservative Party of BC, Peace River North Riding Association on June 4th, Kevin Hrab, the president, said, quote, we want to be clear that Mr. Kealy holds no affiliation with the Conservative Party of BC. Furthermore, discussions on his return to the party, given the nature of these charges, are suspended indefinitely. Kealy had previously said that he had an upcoming meeting with the newly announced leader of the BC Conservatives, Carrie Lynn Findlay, to discuss rejoining the party. Kealy had stated that once he got his membership back, he would be welcomed back into the caucus. In the release, Hrab said this news came as a, quote, surprise to the Conservative Party of BC leadership team and caucus. The party will not comment on the allegation as this matter is now before the courts, the release said. Hrab said Mr. Kealy is entitled to due process and will now be afforded the opportunity to defend himself before the court. Now, that is a statement that is appropriate to make. The board's focus remains on ensuring the residents of Peace River North and the member of the party have strong and effective representation within the Conservative Party of BC, and that the issues facing constituents are brought to the caucus and the party leadership. Kealy's first appearance at the Fort St. John Law Courts will be on July 6th, 2026. Let's take a little look at Carrie Lynn Findlay's Twitter feed to see if there's anything at all about this. So I see June 3rd, June 3rd, June 4th, something going after Premier Eby. June 4th, a video of her. So we can get a timestamp on that. At 12:28 p.m., so minutes after the news went public, talking about hope and opportunity and a feeling of a future. That's the vision that she has for the province. And today, She has a couple of tweets that say, "I'm grateful to Peter Milabar and to every MLA who met with me one-on-one this week." Does that include Mr. Kealy? These conversations have been productive as we prepare for the responsibilities ahead. Our team is focused and moving forward with purpose. We will defeat the NDP government and the decay it has brought to our healthcare and economy and our communities and deliver the results British Columbians deserve. We have important work to do, and I'm optimistic about what we can achieve together for our province. And then she has more. She's been tweeting a couple, something about the polling results, more video of her. But no, not making any mention of it at all on her Twitter feeds. Interesting. Um, Now, why these people can be charged with these and not have to do anything? This is according to Andrew McLeod in terms of stepping aside or whatnot. It says here, this is from the Tyee, even when a British Columbian MLA is facing serious criminal charges, as Richmond Centre Representative Han Chan is, or as Mr. Kealy from Peace River North now is, there are few means to fire them. Chan has sat as an independent since late March when the Conservative Party of BC booted him from his caucus after learning he has been charged with assault by choking and uttering threats for offenses alleged to have occurred against an intimate partner on January 12, 2024. Callings in the legislature can call for his resignation, as BC NDP and BC Green MLAs have. Victoria Beacon Hill NDP MLA Grace Lohr said it's inappropriate for Chan to continue serving as an MLA. His constituents, survivors of intimate partner violence, and all British Columbians deserve better than that. Intimate partner violence occurs in every corner of this province, in every community, at every level of income and status. It's a public safety issue. And West Vancouver Sea to Sky BC Green MLA Jeremy Valeriot said it's incumbent on members of the Legislative Assembly to uphold the highest standards and to face accountability if they do not. But it is not up to them whether or not Chan loses his seat, and so far he has declined to resign, saying in a post on X that he, quote, disagrees with the allegation and looks forward to defending himself through the legal process. Instead, whether he can continue as an MLA is governed by the Constitution Act until voters get their say in the next election scheduled for 2028. It says a person ceases to be an MLA and their seat becomes vacant if, quote, the member is convicted of an indictable offense that may only be prosecuted by way of indictment. In Canadian law, indictable offenses are serious crimes like murder and robbery. It's not known if the Crown will proceed by way of an indictment against Chan or file summary charges, which carry lesser penalties. And like anyone charged with a crime, he's innocent until proven guilty, with the first appearance scheduled for April 22nd. It will be some time before court hears his case and decides whether or not to convict him. This article, because April 22nd has passed, was written on April 10th. These charges come as internet partner violence rates continue to rise in Canada. Between 2018 and 2023, the police reported offense rate increased 13.8% across the country, according to Statistics Canada. In BC, the rate increased 6.6%. Advocates note a large number of cases are not reported to the police. The province's constitution also allows for a seat to become vacant after an MLA dies, becomes a member of the Federal House of Commons, fails to attend the Legislative Assembly during a whole session without the Assembly's permission, becomes a subject or citizen of a foreign state or power, or, quote, makes a declaration or acknowledgement of allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign state or power. Dual citizens can serve as MLAs if they are dual citizens prior to their election, but may forfeit their seat if they become a citizen of another country after they are elected. The other way to fire an MLA is through Recall and Initiative Act, a process that involves collecting signatures from at least 40% of people who are registered voters in the district on election day and who remain registered voters in the province. I'll tell you one thing, it's rigged and not to work, said Salvatore Vitro, the proponent of a failed 2023 effort to recall Premier David Eby in Vancouver Point Grey. Canvassers submitted 2,737 signatures to Elections BC, far short of the 16,449 required. Yeah, well, because you had no real reason to recall him other than you didn't like him. The signature requirement is high considering how few people vote, and 60 days is a short time to collect them, Vitro said. It's so bloody hard, he said, it's rigged against you. They never meant recall to work. Pardon me? Yes, but you also have to have a valid reason that would motivate enough people to actually come and sign. Since 1995 elections, BC website says the chief electoral officer has approved 30 recall petitions. None has succeeded. So there you go. So it's a little tough. the Constitution could be changed to require at least um, taking a leave of absence. But that is not the case at the moment. Um, According to Vancouver City News, independent Michael Chapre, a Vancouver criminal defense lawyer, says Mr. Kealy has been charged, which means that the evidence gathered by the police has been reviewed by the special prosecutor who would have been brought in for that role and has laid a charge of sexual assault against him. Chapre states that it is standard practice to have a special prosecutor in place for these types of cases, especially when it's a government official. Quote, very often as an abundance of caution to avoid any actual conflict of interest or any perceived conflict of interest when there's somebody who's connected to the government or in the government, the idea is to bring in a non-government lawyer to prosecute. Gail Barnes, a Vancouver lawyer with a private practice, will handle the case. Quote, she's not an employee of the government like the Crown Counsel office are, and she's brought in to review the file and then to run the prosecution independent of the Crown Prosecution Office in Fort St. John. The investigation into Kealy's alleged actions started in February, and the alleged offenses took place somewhere between January 1st and September 20th of 2024 in Fort St. John. Chapre says that it isn't unusual for the public to not know about an investigation like this. Quote, we don't often hear about ongoing investigations for a number of reasons, whether it's privacy concerns, whether it's to protect the person being investigated in case there is no charges, or really just to protect the integrity of the investigation, said Chapre. Typically, the party that the MLA belongs to will also do its own investigation into the allegations and decide whether to have the MLA step down. There'll probably be some decision being done in relation to this that is relevant to his role in government. That may not necessarily be the case for just a private citizen facing these charges. We'll have to watch how that plays out in the courts now that this is in the public domain. We've seen some people trying to hold on to their position and fight, and some people recognize that they don't want to be a distraction and step away. So we have that. Now, he is not part of the government because he is sitting as an independent at the moment, but definitely wanted to be part of the government and definitely, you know, was making moves for that to that effect. And the leader at the time looking like she would be open to that. But ultimately, well, this happened. Ay, ay, ay. So, of course, because we are dealing with only the best people. Um, One of the people that left after Dallas Brody had been ejected, that left with him, Tara Armstrong, uh, decided that she was going to offer this. Jordan Kealy is honest, principled, and kind. He is entitled to the presumption of innocence, a cornerstone of Western society for over 2,000 years. Shame on Jennifer Whiteside and the other jackals within the NDP caucus for leaping to conclusions for selfish political reasons. You don't have to swing at every pitch, Tara. Wow. Um, yeah. Apparently, when someone is charged with SA, um, stating that the leader enthusiastic, enthusiastically accepted his support throughout the leadership race, including standing on stage with them just days ago, and you know, maybe she should use that relationship to convince him to step down. Maybe. Apparently, that's a smear. Um, okay. Okay. So yeah, um, there's always got to be one dutiful one that comes to run to the defense of the person who's charged with SA, isn't there? Ah, boy. Oh my god. All right. Um, yeah. So wait a minute. We'll see what happens with that. Um, whether or not that statement, because what seems to be typical, at least what we've seen from Pierre Poilievre, is when things like that happen, like for example, when his three caucus members decided to have dinner with Christine Anderson, um, uh, the repudiation came in a statement that was made, I think, to Brian Lilly, that appeared on no conservative platform anywhere, nor on any letterhead, nor coming from any MP out of their mouth while on video. So yeah, we have a statement from of a spokesperson in the party that says that he will not be joining it, but nothing else. Oh, that next interview with Carrie Lynn Finley is going to be interesting, isn't it? Hey, 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 hey. Okay. Um, couple of things I want to touch on a little quickly here before we go for the day. Um, because I've been saying for a little bit that I have a little bit of news on wildfires and Ebola. Uh, hmm. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna skip those again for today. I'm gonna bump those because um, I think we have some employment data, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna take a look here. Canada. There we go. According to Global News, and this is by Craig Lord of the Canadian Press as it appears in Global News. Statistics Canada says the economy added a surprise 88,000 jobs in May, partially offsetting employment declines since the start of the year. The agency says the unemployment rate fell to 6.6%, down from 6.9% in April, so that's a 0.3% drop. Stats Can says employment gains were widespread across industries and concentrated in full time work. Construction led the way with a gain of 27,000 jobs last month, while the wholesale and retail trade sector lost 35,000 positions. Economists had expected a gain of 10,000 jobs heading into the May report. StatCan also say young workers aged 15 to 24 saw a big lift in full-time jobs in May as youth see a better start to the summer job season this year compared with the tough labor market of 2025. Okay, that is a really, really short article. Could there be a little more? Wow, that was really short. All right, let's look for a little more. Financial Post, that will probably have more. From this is Paula Tran, Financial Post. And what do we have here? The data published by Statistics Canada on Friday showed the increase was driven by an addition of 154,000 full-time positions. Part-time work declined, recording a loss of 66,000 positions. So this is almost like the opposite of the one before, where we had expected some job growth the month previous and got a big job drop, and there was more full-time jobs that disappeared, and some more part-time jobs that had been created. This one, we have more full-time jobs than part-time jobs, and uh, with the unemployment rate going down here. It says here that the increase followed a net decline of 112,000 jobs over the first 4 months of the year, including a loss of 18,000 jobs in April that nudged the employment rate up to 6.9%. Despite the gains, the unemployment rate remains elevated above pre-pandemic averages of 6%, but below the 7.1% peak observed in August and September 2025. And that's all we have from the Financial Post at the moment. It's said more to come on that. Um, let's see if we have something here from a CBC that might more be there. Well, there we go. That has more detail. This is from Abby Hughes. Um, so, um, mentioning that Canada had lost 112,000 net jobs in the first 4 months of 2026, which sent Pierre Poilievre saying that the sky is falling and everything's terrible. Turns out that it wasn't as bad as he claimed in that sense. Analysts polled by Reuters had forecast the unemployment rate to hold at the 6 month high level reached in April at 6.9% and had predicted net additions of 10,000 jobs in May. The addition in the months the additions in the month were entirely concentrated in full-time work, which saw a net addition of 154,000 jobs, reversing almost all of the first 4 months of net losses in the category. Wow. So, wow, that's pretty good. Statistics Canada said part-time employment fell by 66,200. In the past year, the Canadian economy has struggled under U.S. tariffs and trade threats, which have led to job losses and sapped hiring generally. Quote, this is let's try that again. This is an unambiguously strong report, said Benjamin Reitzes, BMO Economics Managing Director, in an investor note. Canada continues to hold in, however, he cautions against too much excitement as employment is only up 0.7% year over year. The positive figures come after some negative news last Friday when Canada posted a second quarter in a row of GDP contraction on an annualized basis, which some economists would deem a technical recession. But economists have been divided on whether Canada is actually in one, partly because there have been no widespread job losses and because some sectors have shown healthy growth. Reitz has said today's positive job numbers should ease some of those worries and silence the recession crowd. Uh, that would be you, Pierre. That would be you, Pierre Poilievre. Much of the job creation came from by jumping out with 0.06 drop in the GDP and claiming it was a full blown liberal recession. Again, I was watching an ad issue panel and people were saying, like, he probably should have kept his powder dry to see how this plays out for a bit rather than try to win the moment the millisecond a piece of news came out. But that's how irrelevant Pierre is. And in that discussion, at least from Althea Raj's perspective, it seems that that whole statement that there's nobody waiting in the wings to organize against Pierre, that might not be the case so much anymore. Some political journalists are hearing that there is, in fact, some rumbling and maybe some organizing going on. Hmm. Much of the job creation came from the construction industry, which added a net 26,800 jobs, as well as information, culture, and recreation, which saw an additional 19,300 jobs. Transportation and warehousing posted 18,700 more jobs, while accommodation and food services grew by 17,000. On the other side of the ledger, the wholesale and retail trade sector, which accounts for almost 14% of the total employed workforce, posted a job decline of 35,000 positions in May. Youth unemployment rate also fell to 13.4% in May, down from 14.3% a month earlier. Statistics Canada pointed out that the unemployment rate for youth is now 1.2 percentage points below its recent peak in September 2025. So some good movement being made there, especially since Mark Carney did campaign stating that he did have something in mind for youth. As in the core age workforce, the job additions for youth were concentrated in full-time roles. Young people have struggled to find work in recent years. The unemployment rate for the 15 to 24 age group has consistently stayed above pre-pandemic averages. Average hourly wages of permanent employees, a metric closely tracked by the Bank of Canada to gauge the rise in inflation expectations, grew 3.2% in May, a sharp decline from the 4.8% in April, but still higher than inflation. So that's pretty good. And there's a graph here showing the unemployment rate in Canada that shows that we have been relatively in a consistent range for a certain amount of time now. If you're looking at this from about um, August 2024, we have been uh, going from 6.6 to 7.1. We've sort of been in that range, bouncing up and down. So holding steady. It goes up, it goes down a little bit. But like I said, uh, given that this is all the way back to, like I said, October 2024, um, when you see politicians like Pierre Poilievre losing their minds by a point two or up or down here or there, um, we've been in a holding pattern. This is a trend. So until we see something really break up or down from 6.6 to 7.1 out of there. We don't really have, we're basically within a range, essentially. The May jobs report marks the last major economic data release before the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision comes out Wednesday. CIBC Capital Markets senior economist Andrew Grantham said in a note that the job figures won't change the expectation that the Bank of Canada will hold interest rates at 2.25%. On the whole, indeed, senior economist Brendan Bernard said monthly job data can be volatile, which is why it's important to look at the underlying trend, which is what I just did, where he sees a stable, subdued labor market. He noted that the pace of job growth has been slow over the past year, and he expects it to continue at that rate in the coming months, particularly because Canada's population is no longer growing, that's another thing that affects that. Because we have a negative population growth at the moment. Also, Kits and Cubs, before we wrap up, there was one little bit more of economic news here with regard to the recession itself, and this is from the Canadian press. It says here, the unofficial authority on recession calls in Canada says it's too soon to use that word to describe the sluggish economy. Debate has raged on Parliament Hill over whether the country is in a recession since Statistics Canada reported last week that the economy shrank for 2 quarters in a row. It's not actually, debate has not raged on Parliament Hill. Pierre Poilievre has raged on Parliament Hill. The CD Howe Institute's Business Cycle Council is traditionally viewed as the arbiter for calling a recession in Canada. 2 quarters of GDP decline in a row is a rule of thumb that some economists use to point to a technical recession, but the council said in a bulletin on Friday that it does not accept that definition as the true measure and urges caution over reading too much into the recent data, which Pierre Poilievre, if he was a serious leader, would have known to do rather than jumping on the bandwagon and going to every TV camera he could and microphone to claim which it is, which can be picked up and then distributed internationally, and then be used as an excuse to hold back on investment. But, premature enunciations and Pierre, well, they go hand in hand. Earlier this week, panel members of the Business Cycle Council, Steve Ambler, told CBC News the group measures the 3 Ps to determine if economic activity decline is pronounced, persistent, and pervasive enough to declare a recession. The group of economists argues that weakness in Canada's economy is not yet widespread or persistent enough to warrant the recession label, and the marginal decline in the first quarter of the year will be subject to revisions in the months ahead. The recent GDP decline is also not as pronounced as when CD Howe had declared a recession in the past, according to the council. In order to actually declare a recession, the council says it would need to see significant decline in economic activity for at least 1 quarter and weakness in other recent quarters, plus a pervasive decline in many sectors of the economy. Over the past week, the Conservatives have laid the blame for a full-blown recession at the feet of the Liberal government, while Prime Minister Mark Carney argues growth will be uneven as the government tries to pivot the economy away from reliance on the United States. Statistics Canada also announced on Friday that the country's unemployment rate fell to 6.6% in May from 6.9% a month before. The agency's latest jobs report showed the first significant employment gain since November. So there you have it, Kits and Cubs. A little bit of news to get you on your way for the weekend. And there you go. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about this. Please share our content with something from you that says why it is our content resonates with you. That would be a wonderful thing. Also, because it helps us with the algorithm, which is trying to strangle us lately. So getting our content in front of eyeballs really helps. If you want to smash with our buttons, please scan this QR code, like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube page. Give them a little tickle because we know we are not fickle, aren't we? And of course, if you're watching on your phone fewer than 7 days after this airs, please swipe left on the comment section and leave us some hype points so that we can have a little more profile and reach. Especially in these times. That would be helpful. If you would like to support us in other ways, Kits and Cubs, say financially, by offering us an enthusiastic expression of encouragement in the form of a donation to the Eager Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund, a cup of Attaboy or Attabeaver hot chocolate is really, really appreciated because it helps us with the doom scrolling. It does, as do your good news stories, which you can send to us at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Yummy Beaver Moistener. You can also donate to us. Like I said, this QR code brings you to our coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, where we get about 95 to 97% of your donation. You can donate via super chat stickers and memberships on YouTube, where we get about 70% of your donations, or you can do a direct bank transfer using that email address I just gave you, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And that way we get 100% of your donation and none of it goes to a USCE tech bro. And we thank you for everything that you're able to do. And remember, we also have our initiative for our mental health walk on June 20th, where I am trying to lose weight and accepting donations per pound that I lose. You are on, whether if you bet, if you pledge $1, you are now on the hook for $13 so far as an opening pledge. And hopefully, I'm going to cost you more. So please send your pledges if you would like, and help make somebody's life a little better in the process. Um, but yes, our coffee page, you can donate there, super chat, and of course, direct bank transfer. Now, True North Eagerbeaver at gmail.com is also the address you can use if you want to take care of your participation tariff fee through sending us some compliments or constructive criticism, letting us know some guests that you would like to appear on the show. And thank you, Kit Hyper T, for making that suggestion in the previous show. I would definitely like to follow up on that. Let's see what else. Our hashtags: kids who cook, kids who cultivate, and kids who craft, that you can use on our socials at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge and on the Shitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook, our original home. We have the DamFam Discord. We have our Substack page, Beaver Bites. We have our coffee page that we mentioned to you before. All place, and of course the DamFam Instagram run by Kit Uncover, where you can leave all of that. We try to read everything that you send us, but we're not able to answer everyone. And remember, we have our comment section right here on the YouTube page if you are there to leave us a little something as well. Because democracy is something that you do, we have our two petitions. House of Commons, our commons.ca petition E7124, which calls on the House of Commons to formally review the conduct of U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra should the review find that Ambassador Hoekstra's actions are inconsistent with diplomatic protocol or detrimental to Canada's interests. The Government of Canada take appropriate diplomatic measures, including the possible request for his recall. And we are just under 20,000 signatures on that one. So I will send it to you right here that you can spread that joy and the word. The other one that we have for you, kits and cubs, is ourcommons.ca petition E7395, which calls upon the House of Commons to stop funding Stornoway as a private residence for the leader of the opposition. And that one is at just under 12,000 signatures. If you could get that signed and shared with anybody who may not have seen it yet. And then finally, our commons.ca petition E7340 that asks the House of Commons to invoke its authority under Section 53 of the Supreme Court Act to refer the 2025 Alberta Justice Statutes Amendment Act to the Supreme Court of Canada and to direct the Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner to immediately investigate the meetings between the Alberta Prosperity Project and the Trump administration. And there you go, kits and cubs. There is the link for that too. I think that's all I've got for you on that one. So, some words of wisdom from me to you as we go into the weekend. Um, you know what? I'm going to say, as a wisdom, sometimes, like I did last weekend, it's good to disconnect for a little bit. We went camping, uh, played in the dirt, did some hiking, did some canoeing, roasted some marshmallows over the fire, all that kind of stuff. I got some pictures that I should show you at some point and put up about the weekend. Got a really good one of the moon one night. We were in a clearing and we were able to see the sky, and it was just gorgeous. So maybe it's a little bit, and I know it's not self-serving to say this at all, but maybe a little bit of a social media cleanse now and then can be a good thing. So there you go. those are my words of wisdom. It felt really nice over the weekend not running to the phone every couple of seconds to see if there was something new. Kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, for the second time today, kids and cubs, uh, it's basically a double cockadoodle doo today. No, double, double cockadoodle doo day. I added a syllable there. So at the count of three, may I please hear you say, uh, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on one, two, and three. Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. That was wonderful. That was delightful. There was some emotion and passion in there, and I was moved, and therefore I must. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, Cubs. Got a little bit of news of Canadians who make us proud, but also some good news going into the weekend for you that might make you breathe a little easier. According to Global News' Alicia Simona Marata and Karen Bartko, there is some new polling from Ipsos that shows that support for Alberta separatism has declined since the beginning of 2026. The survey conducted between May 28th to June 1st found 19% of Albertans said said they would vote this fall to hold a separate binding separation referendum, while 72% said they would check off the box to remain in Canada, and the remainder are undecided. Let me try reading that paragraph again because I tripped over my tongue like crazy over it. The survey conducted between May 28th to June 1st found 19% of Albertans said they would vote this fall to hold a separate binding separation referendum, while 72% would check off the box to remain in Canada, and the remainder are undecided or would not vote or did not answer. While the new polling data suggests the separatist momentum isn't powerful enough to move past the initial referendum in October, Ipsos asked Albertans what their intentions would be if that binding referendum were to somehow still happen. If a binding referendum is held, the Ipsos post suggests 18% of Albertans would vote to leave Canada, compared with 72%. Huh. So if it wasn't binding, 19%. If it was, 18, even lower, compared also with the 72% who would vote to stay. 9% were undecided or did not respond. That 18% support marks a 10-point drop from January, when 28% of Albertans said they backed separation, and it would be it would have the support for the question, as Danielle Smith formulated it after having it focus tested for maximum support and figuring out that she would get 36%. It seems that it's not right now. It's not happening. At that time, the Stay Free Alberta Separatist group was still gathering signatures, but in the months since then, the Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has opted to add a question about separatism to the referendum she announced in February, with the questions at the time focusing on immigration and the Constitution. Daryl Bricker, chairman of Ipsos Canada and global CEO for Ipsos Public Affairs, said the new data from the past week suggests support for Alberta separation is weakening as the idea becomes more tangible. Poor Pierre Poilievre again, saying that, it's Mark Carney that's been fueling this. Well, turns out not so much. He's losing all of his arguments as soon as he's making them. It seems like the more that people contemplate this being real, the act of voting, we see the support for separatism softening, he said in an interview with Global News about the findings. The data also suggests those opposed to separation are more firmly committed to their position. Among respondents who would vote to stay in Canada, 90% described their choice as definite compared with 70% of those who would vote to separate. What it shows is that people who really want Alberta to stay in Canada are really strongly motivated to vote for that, Bricker said. There's a certain level of strength we see for the separatist vote, but it's so much smaller that they're going to have to turn out every one of the people who say they're certain to vote, and probably 3 times more, in order to actually be competitive in this race. Stay Free Alberta, the separatist group driving the push to leave Canada, says it gathered just over 300,000 signatures on its petition calling for an independence referendum, which, if verified, represents around 6% of Alberta's population of 5 million people. And this is yet another thing that would encourage people, perhaps on the federal level, who want to intervene or feel that they need to maybe actually tamp it down a little bit and just say the basic things, because no need to say something that's going to provoke someone and then create that number to rise. So there you go. Support for both holding a referendum and for separation itself is lowest in Calgary, where 14% of respondents support moving ahead with a referendum, compared with 18% in Edmonton and 27% in the rest of Alberta. What would be really cool is for Danielle Smith to start seeing these numbers and decide, what, Premier Wapkanu was right. Given such a low number in the public opinion polls and the impact that it's having on investment, there's no point. The Albertans have already made themselves clear in public opinion polling, and there's no reason to hold this vote. So we can cancel it. Similarly, 12% of Calgary respondents said that they would vote to separate, compared with 16% in Edmonton and 27% in the rest of the province. Support varies by political affiliation. Among right-leaning United Conservative Party supporters, 50% support remaining in Canada, compared with 40% who support holding a referendum and 41% who would vote to separate. Bricker said that split is also reflected in Danielle Smith's own political circle. While there's a significant level of support for separatism, there's also a significant amount of support for staying in Canada. Among NDP supporters, 92% favor staying in Canada, compared with 5% who support holding a referendum, while 93% would vote to stay versus 4% who would vote to separate. Voters undecided on which party to support also lean strongly towards remaining in Canada, with 74% supporting the stay option, compared with 9% backing a referendum, and 76% saying they would vote to stay versus 4% to separate. By age, support for holding a referendum is higher among those under 55 years old, 22%, compared with 14% among those 55 plus. Support for separation itself is highest among those under 35 at 22%, followed by 19% among those aged 35 to 54 and 13% among those aged 55 and older. The poll suggests motivations among those supporting separation have shifted. 61% say their position is driven mainly by a belief Alberta's future would be better outside Canada, while 39% cite historical mistreatment within Canada. This marks a reversal from January, when 55% pointed to historical grievances and 39% to future prospects. Interesting. So that is a 22-point drop on future prospects, and it is a 16-point drop on historical mistreatment. Ipsos said the 10-point drop in support for separation since January may be at least partly due to those concerned about historic mistreatment rethinking whether this is adequate cause to separate. Outside Alberta, support for provincial separation remains low overall, but varies by region. 11% of Canadians outside Alberta said they would support their own province separating if a referendum were held today, including 30% in Quebec, 11% in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Support is minimal in British Columbia at 2%, Ontario at 3%, and Atlantic Canada at 3%. Most Canadians also want Alberta to remain in the country. 80% said Alberta should stay in Canada, including 63% in Quebec. The numbers are pretty consistent, what we saw in the last referendum in 1995 for Quebec staying in Canada, Bricker said. Bricker noted support for Alberta remaining in Canada is notably lower in Quebec than the national average, suggesting Quebecers may be viewing developments in Alberta through the lens of their own provincial situation and could be more cautious about actions that might have implications for Quebec, such as federal intervention. A majority of Canadians outside Alberta, 58%, believe the entire country should have a say in whether Alberta separates, while 28% say it should be up to Albertans alone. In Quebec, 51% say the decision should rest with Albertans, and 34% support a national say. So there you go. Barely a majority in Quebec say that it should be support what Yves-François Blanchet has been saying, that it is a completely unilateral decision. Nobody has anything to say about it. Quote, again, that's a reflection of what's going on in the province of Quebec as much as it is a reflection of what's going on in the province of Alberta. On the role of the federal government, 53% of Canadians outside Alberta believe Ottawa should play a role in a referendum campaign, with 29% saying it should stay out. Half of Canadians say that the federal government needs to be involved, but where the number really drops off the cliff is in the province of Quebec, Bricker added. Opinions are split in Alberta, with 45% supporting a federal role and 42% against it. Multiple pollsters have asked Albertans and Canadians a range of similar questions to do with separatism, and the data shows the needle has not budged much poll to poll from month to month. An Angus Reid Institute survey conducted from May 22nd to 24 after the province announced it was adding the 10th question to the referendum found 60% of respondents would vote to stay in Confederation, while 35% said they would support the beginning of the process of separation. A different poll in February by the Angus Reid Institute also found support for independence among the general public was at 3 in 10. So there you go, kids and cubs. And a little bit of news of Canadians that make us proud. And this from the world of science. And this was sent to us by a kit who thought that this would be good to read. So let me bring it up and give it to you right here. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Well, where did it go? Oh no. No, 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 no. It was a really good one too. Maybe I can find it on their own page, because I know who sent it to me. Okay. I have no idea where it went. Oh, let me just check to see in case it was. I thought for sure it was on a Blue Sky, but I'm wrong. Oh, I hate this when it happens. I'm trying to stick the dismount. Oh, darn. I'm so sorry, kids and cubs. I thought I had it for us, but it seems I do not. And it was a really good one. Hold on. I'll go check somewhere else. Okay, I do not. I don't know what happened to it, kids and cubs. I'm so sorry. This is a really bad way to end the show. Oh man. Yeah, that's a little bit of a womp womp. Let me just try one more little bit to see if I have it. I do not know where it disappeared to. That is very, very strange. Yep, nope. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it disappeared to. There we go. Let me go to CTV News because I knew it came from that. Let's see if I can find it for us. Nope, this is completely unhelpful. I am so sorry, kits and cubs. I do not know what happened, where the article went to, where even the thing that was sent to me went to. It just completely disappeared. How weird is that? That is really strange. See, now I'm obsessed. Now somebody suggested it to me as Canadians who make us proud, and I responded, yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you. There we go. Just found it. Was a little that was harder than it needed to be. From Tammy Ibrahimpour of CTV News, a file this under Science is Cool. Researchers at McMaster University have discovered a new antibiotic that can kill some of the world's most dangerous drug-resistant bacteria, a breakthrough they say could pave the way for a new class of treatments. The compound called Manicomycin was identified by a team led by McMaster professor Jerry Wright. Early testing showed it was effective against several priority pathogens, including Salmonella, E. coli, Klebsiella. I've never even heard of Klebsiella. What makes this exciting is that it's a brand new unique structure, Wright said in an interview with ctvnews.ca. The discovery builds on research into a soil bacterium that has been studied for decades. Working with collaborators at the University of Illinois Chicago and the University of Hamburg in Germany, Wright's team used an advanced laboratory technique known as fractionation to search for previously overlooked compounds. The bacterium is already known for producing oxytetracycline, an antibiotic discovered in the late 1940s, but Wright said the newly discovered compound had remained hidden because it was produced in much smaller quantities. It was there and we just didn't see it because the signal from tetracycline just overwhelmed this, he said. The finding is part of a broader effort to revisit old bacterial strains using modern technologies. Quote, it turns out that when you look at the genetic potential of these organisms now with 21st century tools, genomics and bioinformatics, these organisms produce lots of different compounds, he said. So there's a potential to go back to these so-called older strains and ask, did we miss something? Researchers say the new antibiotic works differently from drugs currently used in hospitals and clinics. It targets a previously unknown weakness in bacteria by blocking part of the ribosome, a structure inside cells that produces proteins. Without proteins, bacteria cannot survive because manicomycin attacks a different part of the ribosome than existing antibiotics. Researchers say many drug-resistant bacteria may not be able to defend themselves against it. Quote, all these superbugs that we're worried about do not have resistance to this antibiotic, and so that gives us a new class of chemical structure, a new molecular target, and a lack of resistance, Wright said, noting that antibiotic resistance develops because bacteria evolve over time, allowing some strains to survive exposure to drugs that once killed them. The antibiotics that we have that we discovered 50 years ago are losing their power, not because they're getting weaker, but because the bacteria have just simply evolved to overcome them. If new antibiotics are not developed, Wright said vulnerable patients could face greater risks from infections, including cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy, premature babies, and people recovering from major surgery. Antibiotics are foundational to modern medicine, he said. Imagine doing a heart bypass without antibiotics. All of modern medicine is based on our ability to control these infections. We control them with antibiotics. We have no antibiotics, we lose modern medicine. Researchers say the new antibiotic remains in the early stages of development, but several key milestones have already been reached. The team found that manicomycin was not toxic to human cells and that it performed well in a laboratory model of infection. Scientists are now working to improve how long the drug remains active in the body. They have already created about 60 modified versions of the compound and hope to identify one suitable for further development and clinical testing. Wright cautioned that turning a discovery into a medicine is a lengthy process that will require years of additional research and significant investment. Quote, the discovery of manicomycin is just the first step in a long road towards making a new medicine, he said. Wright said many large pharmaceutical companies have moved away from antibiotic development because the drugs are typically taken for short periods and are often inexpensive compared with medications used to treat chronic conditions. Quote, antibiotics cure disease, so you take them for a short period of time and then hopefully you'll never have to take it again. And they're relatively cheap, Wright said. Drug companies are like car companies. They're selling products, and so from the perspective of a drug company, it's better to have something that you're taking chronically. Wright said governments, researchers, and the healthcare industry continue to search for economic models that encourage investments in new antibiotics, warning that discoveries alone are not enough if promising drugs cannot be developed and brought to patients. Quote, a discovery is hard enough to begin with, but developing it and finding ways to do that require resources that are really significant, he said. I'm excited about the discovery, very optimistic about the potential that this might have to help address the antibiotic resistance crisis, but also highly realistic that the road ahead is not going to be easy. There you have it, kits and cubs, a little bit of Canadians that make us proud. Readers at McMaster University. Thank you, Kit FF Susie, or Suze, Suze, for making this suggestion to us. Very, very happy that you did, and we were delighted to put it into the show and to bring that information to our kits and cubs. And since we are at it, I wasn't going to do this at first, but since we are, there is another bit of good news that I saw the other day that I'll bring you at the same time since it's medical. This comes from the Canadian Press. Oncologists say that they're working quickly to get Canadian patients with pancreatic cancer into clinical trials for a new pill that could double their survival time. Dr. Jennifer Knox, medical director of the Pancreatic Cancer Clinic at Princess Margaret Cancer Centre in Toronto, said she hopes to start a clinical trial of the experimental medication Derailed, daraxonrasib and other related drugs at her center in the coming months. Knox independently reviewed a US-led study of I can't pronounce that, daraxonrasib Daraxon, daraxonrasib, and presented her assessment at a meeting of the American Society for Clinical Oncology in Chicago on Sunday. In an interview on Tuesday, she called the study results amazing. The randomized phase 3 clinical trial of 500 pancreatic cancer patients, which was also published in the New England Journal of Medicine, found those who took the daily pill survived for more than a year compared to just over 6 months for patients who had chemotherapy alone. In an emailed response to the Canadian press on Wednesday, manufacturer Revolution Medicine said it's first applying to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to license the drug and is actively preparing regulatory submissions globally, but wouldn't comment on specific countries. Health Canada said in an email on Tuesday that it has not received an application to license daraxonrasib in Canada. Knox said clinical trials in Canada will allow as many patients as possible with pancreatic cancer, which has been one of the most difficult cancers to treat, to get the experimental drug without waiting for it to be licensed. Quote, I think the world expected to see that this drug would improve survival for pancreas cancer, and we wouldn't say no to any help there because so many things just don't work, Knox said in an interview on Tuesday. But to see it double the survival, I mean, it's never been seen in pancreas cancer before. Dr. Danielle Renouf, Executive Medical Director for BC Cancer in Vancouver and a pancreatic cancer specialist, was also at the meeting in Chicago and said the survival data prompted a standing ovation. The entire crowd got up and it was a very moving moment, he said in an interview on Wednesday. And I saw a clip of that, and that's what reminded me of this story when I brought you the first one. You really think that all of the patients that you have both now and potentially in the future that are going to benefit from this type of approach to treating pancreatic cancers. Renouf said he expects clinical trials to open soon in Vancouver. This is something we want to be able to offer our patients as soon as possible, he said. Pancreatic cancer is the third leading cause of cancer death in Canada, said Stuart Edmonds, Vice President of Mission, Research and Advocacy at the Canadian Cancer Society. Survival rates are around 12%. They were around 5% in the early 90s, so we've seen a significant increase in survival, but survival is still very, very low, he said in an interview on Wednesday. Pancreatic cancer is aggressive. It's also often not discovered until it has spread to other organs because it sometimes doesn't cause any symptoms in its early stages. Some symptoms that may appear are nonspecific, including indigestion, abdominal or back pain, and weight loss, according to the Cancer Society. Edmonds calls daraxonrasib a breakthrough drug for pancreatic cancer. Quote, we'll look to see how we can support Canadians getting access to this drug as fast as possible, he said. Daraxonrasib works by shutting down a protein called RAS. RAS mutations are found in more than 90% of pancreas cancer cases. The mutation makes the RAS molecule spend all of its time turned on as opposed to cycling on, off, Knox said. Being on all the time means it just drives everything in the cell to divide and spread and turn into the cancer. In addition to increasing survival, patients on daraxonrasib reported better quality of life and less pain, she said. The most common side effects in the study were rashes and a sore mouth. Knox said that for decades, RAS proteins causing pancreatic cancer were considered undruggable because there was no place for a drug molecule to attach. Daraxonrasib works around that by attaching to cyclophilin A, and the two work together to lock the RAS protein. There are other RAS inhibitors besides daraxonrasib that show promise. Knox and Renouf hope to also offer those to patients through clinical trials. All the patients in the New England Journal of Medicine study had already been treated with a round of chemotherapy. Knox said the next step is to offer patients an RAS inhibitor drug at the beginning of their treatment cycle with the hope that it will work even better at that early stage. So there you go, kids and cubs, some news from the world of science, because science is cool. And hopefully this will bring lots of relief to a lot of people. All right, kids and cubs, a little longer than I thought it was going to be, this one, but there you go. And that's all I got for today. So I will have a great weekend. Amour et bisous, and I will see you tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I will see you Monday. All right, everyone. Bye.